Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? I know I did before I started this. I had tons of questions that I didn't have the answers to. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people, like to listen to? How do I make money off of it? Really, and all these answers were simply answered by Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use, and I cannot specify that enough. It is so easy, especially for somebody like me. I'm lazy. Although I am tech savvy and I can do all this manually myself, I don't want to. So it's great. And now Anchor can match you up with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. So that means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. And, as people listen to this ad and listen to my podcast, I will get more and more money to this and, hopefully maybe be able to be self-efficient with this. So if you always want to start a podcast and make money, go to anchor.fm/start. It's anchor.fm/start to join me and a diverse community of podcasters already use Anchors. And can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Cowboy Club. Roll up. Let's take a rip. Never tell you the world is yours. Yeah, bish. And we back. This will be MMA episode number 16 for the Cowboy Club. I'll primarily be discussing the UFC 237 recap and my post-fight notes. It was just a crazy night of fights between these UFC fights, between the main event. Co-main event ended kind of, prematurely and unexpectedly. Also, there was a Bellator event, 221, that was going on around the same time. Had Douglas Lima versus MVP, Michael Venom Page in the co-main, and then Michael Chandler versus Patricio Pitbull in the main event. So I'll touch on that too, but after I finish the whole UFC card, and also have some cool new announced fights to discuss that I'm personally excited about. The first things first, let's get into the recap. The first fight of the night was between Talita Bernardo and Viviane Araújo. And Viviane actually came in short notice, I believe 3 or 4 days short notice, and came out here and performed very well. And I didn't know this going in, but she typically fights at 115, and this was actually a 135 fight. So she was fighting in 2 weight classes, 20 pounds above where she normally fights. And she was fighting a ranked opponent at number 15 in Talita Bernardo. And right away, I think it was pretty clear that Viviane was clearly outmatched Talita on the feet. And she had really good foot movement, nonstop, moving around the cage and good feints, and was just quicker, sharper, and there was less fat in her punches, I guess, so to say. Whereas Bernardo, when she was striking, she had more of heavy looping shots that took a lot longer to get there, so she'd throw like one looping hook. And by the time she did that, Viviane could have thrown a 3 or 4 punch combo. And by the time that hook is even close to landing, the power is kind of subsided when you get hit in the face a couple times. I thought Viviane looked fucking amazing out there. I thought she dominated the first round. Hit her with a nice overhand right, I think, in the second. She hit her with the overhand right, I'm assuming, in the third, and she actually ended up getting the knockout 48 seconds into the third round. I also had her winning the first 2 rounds, so she won this bout in every single facet, in my opinion, and I'm sure everyone's opinion if you watch the fight, and she clearly proved that she belongs in the UFC. And I'm curious to see what she looks like at 115 at her normal weight class, because she only weighed in at 131, I believe. So that was with no cutting or anything, but she still went out there and dominated the bigger opponent. So great performance by her. Can't make a better UFC debut or first impression on the organization, and wouldn't be surprised if they signed her to a deal after that, especially winning in Brazil, in her home country. So that was a cool way to start off the card. Definitely wasn't expecting that. Glad I didn't put any money on against her. The second fight of the night was between Rayani Barcelos and Carlos Hager. Barcelos is fighting in his hometown of Brazil, or home country of Brazil. Carlos from Mexico. First round I thought was pretty close, but I thought Carlos actually had the more damaging strikes and maybe more output. But I'm not really confident that. Maybe if you look at the numbers, that clearly doesn't show the case, but that's for full fight numbers, not round by round. So I don't know. But come the second round, it was all Barcelos. So I got a knockdown. And then basically after that had about 3 minutes of top control position. And although he was beating Carlos pretty good and landing a lot of damage, I thought the referee stopped it early. And there was about 10 seconds left in the round, and he stopped it. And I don't think he was landing any heavy punches. Carlos was obviously defending himself. He was reaching for a leg, still defending, and quote unquote, intelligently defending himself, which is the verbiage that they use to stop a fight. If a fighter shows that he's no longer, or he or she is no longer intelligently defending themselves, then you stop it. So I don't think that was the case here. I thought he stopped a little early, but I don't have a problem with it, kind of like DC Daniel Cormier said during the fight, because it's probably just going to be more of the same of him just getting beat up, and you just take more unnecessary damage. But as a fighter, you never really know, and it's a fight. It only takes one strike. I definitely think he would have lasted those last 10 seconds. He could have came out in the third round and landed one big punch on Barcelos and won. Dominic Cruz had a real problem with it, who was also announcing the fights there with Daniel Cormier and John Anik. He was like, if I'm a fighter and you stop it like that, you better not, because I'm going to be pissed. And I definitely get his case, and I thought it was a poor stoppage in my opinion. But nonetheless, Barcelos got the stoppage win, second round by 4:49 in the second round, so there was 11 seconds left. Got the dub, and he was the largest betting favorite on the card, I believe. He was like minus 1,100 or something like that. To close out the early prelims, we had the bout between Luana Carolina and Priscilla Cochiera, which I don't know if I had in my notes, but they kept calling her Zombie Girl, so I guess that's her nickname, and I could see why. Priscilla just kept charging for her no matter how much damage she had, and just without any care or for herself or her body. I had all 3 rounds to Luana Carolina. First round I thought was close, but I think she had more strikes, as Priscilla was just kind of chasing her around the ring. She was throwing, but wasn't really landing. Round 2, Luana Carolina got a knockdown via head kick. And she just kept her distance, kept her striking distance, and kind of just picked Priscilla apart as she just recklessly kept coming forward like a fucking zombie. And all in all, it was a good fight to watch, but it was obviously Carolina's night. I had her winning all 3 rounds, like I said. 2 of the judges gave it 10-8 rounds, so they scored at 30-26 in her favor, whereas one judge had it 29-27, so one of the judges gave one of the rounds to Priscilla, while 2 of them gave it 10-8, so I don't know. Whoever gave that 29-27, fire them. To start off the prelims was BJ Penn versus Clay Guida. I actually missed the first round of this fight because I am a fatty and I cooked some buffalo chicken tenders and then realized I didn't have any fucking ranch, so I had to go to I first went to the closest gas station. Somehow the gas station didn't have ranch dressing. What the fuck? Had everything else. Had fucking like spicy mustard and mayo and ketchup. Had A1 sauce but no ranch. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm never coming back here again. So I had to go to CVS across the street, blah, blah, blah. Made it back, and it was about halfway through the second round by the time I picked up the fight. So I'm not sure who won the first round. I didn't score anybody to win the first round. But once I came back, it was about halfway through the second. And it just looked like Clay Guida was dominating. I'm assuming that BJ Penn won the first round because Clay Guida definitely won 2 and 3 in my eyes, and all 3 judges gave at least one round to BJ Penn. Essentially, come the second round, Guida did get a takedown. He had, always had his nonstop pressure and had some leg kicks that were stopping BJ from, moving and keeping his distance. And Clay actually knocked him down in the third and, just kept his pressure. So he definitely won the fight. I did place a little money on BJ Penn, so if you followed my Twitter and placed the same bets as me, that was the one bet where I'm like, well, I probably know I'm going to lose, but it was kind of hard not to bet on BJ Penn when he was like plus 500 underdog. So, $5 you win like, I don't even know, $10 you win 50, so $5 I would have won 25. So I was like, what the fuck, I'll do it anyways, even though I didn't think he'd win. It's BJ Penn though, so I thought he had a chance. But he didn't. And it would be nice to see BJ Penn either retire or go to another organization, man. So you're just going to keep taking losses. UFC is not going to hand you soda cans like Bellator would. So I don't know, go to Bellator, make some money, or I don't know. I don't want to tell a guy, especially a legend, the prodigy, and BJ Penn, to hang it up, but it's just kind of sad seeing him in there and not even make it competitive, really. As far as the next fight, it was between Warley Alves and Sergio Moraes. It was a good showing by Alves. First round, and said good start by Alves. I really thought the first round was kind of close, but I wasn't sure who to give it to, and I gave it to Alves because John Anik said good start by Alves. Ended up not mattering, but Alves had some good leg kicks, around 2 more leg kicks, and just dominant stand up. And come the third round, he got a flying knee. It was kind of sick. I might have retweeted on my Twitter, so if you want to watch that, you might be able to watch that. A little highlight. He had a flying knee and then a right uppercut to knock down Sergio Moraes, who's legit, and a couple ground and pound strikes in there and finished him off. It was a good showing by Alves, so good he got a performance of the night bonus, so extra 50 G's in his pocket. Can't ever complain about that. As far as the next fight went, was between Thiago Moisés and Kurt Holobaugh. I believe, no, second American in the card, third, fourth, but the first one of the night, jeez. But this went how I expected to. Moisés, pretty much just dominated. I mean, not dominated, but he clearly won all 3 rounds, at least in my opinion. And 2 of the judges actually gave it 10, at least one, or no, they gave one 10-8 round towards Moisés' favorite. As far as the fight, first round, Thiago got a single leg takedown, better stand up, and he had some top control. So I gave him the first round because of that. Second round, he had a textbook double leg takedown, perfect timing. Kind of just outpointed Holobaugh on that round. Third round, more the same. He had 3 takedowns and had some vicious ground pound to close out the third round and definitely seal the round in victory, in my opinion. Now, Kurt did make it a little competitive. It wasn't as one-sided as I thought it would be, but judges' scorecards and my scorecard don't say that. Kurt was tough as nails, and he kept moving forward, and Made round 2 close, but I think he still lost all 3 rounds, and all 3 judges scored it in Thiago Moises' favor. As I said earlier, 2 of them had a 10-8 round, so it was 30-26, and 1 had a 30-27. In Thiago Moises' favor. To close out the prelims was between Lil Nog. I believe in my preview episode I said it was Big Nog, but it wasn't. It was Lil Nog, Rogerio Nogueira versus Ryan Superman Spann. And pretty much went how I expected. Spann, just being the younger, fresher, more athletic fighter, takes out the older legend. The first round, Nogueira did show that he still has some power, is still there. But Spann ended up getting a takedown. But Nogueira got up, and then he hit him with 2 right straights, and then a left uppercut that dropped Nogueira and just pretty much had him out. And then he had 2 punches of ground and pound to finish it. So it was a good performance by Spann. I thought maybe he deserved a performance of the night bonus, but I guess when you're fighting, 42-year-old, and I don't know. But Spann did say, guys usually, they want you to call somebody out afterwards, or, talk your shit or whatever, but Spann wasn't really concerned about that. He knows what he just did, who he just beat in Brazil, and he knows it's a big fight, probably the biggest of his career. And he probably could have called out a top 15 guy, or at least say, hey, give me those rankings, but he just wants to be in the UFC video game. Which I'll blame him. If I was a fighter, I'd want to be in that video game, especially if you're he's on like a 7 winning streak or something like that, 7-fight winning streak or something like that. Let me see real quick. Ryan Superman Spann. I mean, he hasn't lost since February of 2017, and before he's even in the UFC, he was in LFA. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's won 6 in a row, undefeated in the UFC, 2-0. Former LFA champ. He's beat Luis Enrique and Lil Nog. He's been in UFC, so I think he deserves maybe a top 15 guy or somebody on the cusp of the top 15 at light heavyweight. This guy looks good, and he deserves to be in the video game. I'll fight with you, man. I'll play with you. To begin the main card, we had Irene Aldana versus Betty Correa, and this is a good fight. I was surprised. I guess I wasn't surprised, but I thought if I had to give another fight of the night, this is probably the one I would give it. Main event ended up getting fight of the night. It only lasted around in, a minute, around in 2 minutes. But as far as this fight between Irene Aldana, Betty Correa, Betch actually missed weight by 5 pounds coming in the fight, so she was the heavier fighter. But she was also slower, wild, and has to make it a brawling effort, especially versus Irina, who's quick and has tight, accurate punches. Just keeps her distance and stays measured pretty much the whole time. So I think Betch outpointed her that entire first round. Irene outpointed her that entire first round. Come the second round, it seemed that Betch had kind of, and Irene was kind of predictable. She just kept with that 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, jab, jab, 1-2, 1-2. I thought Betch did a good job in making adjustments come second round, and just had more strikes and overall damage in that round. So I gave the second round to Betch. Sounds like I'm saying Betch, but I think that's how you say her name. But come the third round, and I actually had Betch winning the third round until she went for this takedown about a minute and a half into the round. And about a minute and a half in, she shoots for a takedown kind of sloppily. It wasn't really set up well at all. Irene defended it pretty well, sprawled and broad. Took Betch's back, and it seemed like she was sliding off the top, like Daniel Cormier said during the, while he's commentating the fight. But as she was moving up, she went for Betch's arm and ended up getting an arm bar with all her weight, her stomach, on that elbow, hyperextending it, the wrong way. That's why it's called hyperextending it. And then she tapped. And it looked like she tapped before the thing was fully synced in, fully extended. Then it hyperextended and she tapped more, and the ref finally saw it and pulled her off, and Irina got the win. So I think it was good performance by her. Showed some good takedown defense and some good ground and submission skills to get the win versus a UFC veteran. Although bitch hasn't fought in a while, she's been in there in the cage with a while. He likes of Ronda Rousey's and Holly Holm. Lost both fights, but she's been in there with, those killers. And I thought she was winning that third round. I thought she was getting the better of the stand-up match fights because, she would eat a 1-2 combo, which wasn't too damaging because Irina is always moving, and, most of her strikes she's kind of throwing as she's moving or backing up, so all her power isn't being generated into her punches because she's moving while she's striking. She's not sitting, establishing a strong base and then firing, turning the hips, and all that jazz. But I thought bitch, would eat those those little soft 1-2s and come in and land some heavy hooks, some power shots. So that's why I had her ahead in the third round until she shot and got submitted. But we'll never know, I guess. But glad it went that way at Aldana in a parlay bet that ended up working out. So hell yeah. The next fight was between Thiago Alves and Loreno Staropoli, and I ended up last minute putting in a parlay bet with 4 fighters, and Alves was one of them. I forget the other 3 at the top of my head, but I got all the 3 right. But between Thiago Alves and Loreno Staropoli, I had picked Alves, and that was the only one I got wrong. So if I got that right, I'd be a decent amount richer right now. But as soon as this fight started, I was like, fuck, I shouldn't have bet against Staropoli. And I knew it. I even said in the preview episode that I had for these fights, I know Thiago Alves is a fucking beast, veteran. He's been there, and I hadn't seen Staropoli fight before, but as soon as he stepped in that cage, he was way bigger than Alves, and he looked like more skilled as well, and younger on top of that, more athletic, quicker, faster, stronger. And I should have known. I even said it too. I was like, they wouldn't match him against Alves unless he was legit, and he's legit. Staropoli should definitely. Let's see what division they fight in that. 170. So maybe not definitely have a number by his name, but at least start to compete versus guys on the cusp of the top 15 and see if he can, crack those rankings. As far as the fight itself, first round was really, really slow, really no output from Alves. Staropoli was just the busier man, and basically just won that round off octane control and throwing strikes, even though he didn't land too much. Alves' defense is just great. Both their defenses were pretty great. Come round 2, Alves, started to establish the leg kicks like he likes to do. He started to pressure and was looking, he looked fresh come round 2. Almost like he was taking the first round off, as Staropoli was throwing a lot of heavy techniques and spinning techniques, techniques that exert a lot of stamina, might deplete your endurance levels. But nonetheless, I think Staropoli still won that round, so I gave him the second round. Come the third round, Alves did get a takedown, and he finished well. Towards the end of the round, it was a kind of back and forth striking match on the feet. Each of them landed their shots, but I thought Alves, he closed pretty strongly, and in my eyes, convinced me that he won that last round. Now I wanted to disagree with anybody that said Staropoli won that third round as well. So that being said, I scored a 29-28 in Staropoli's favor. One judge saw it that way. The other 2 saw it 30-27 with all 3 in his favor. So yeah, it was a good fight to watch. I'm a little upset that my ego got the best of me, and I ended up betting against Staropoli, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. Even though I didn't win every single other bet. I won every single other one, but this one fight I got right. Maybe I'll read those bets that I made after the fight, just to let you know and prove to you. fucks. Come the next fight was between Jose Aldo and Alexander Volkanovski, and as I said in my preview episode, this was the fight that I was most excited for personally, just because I thought Volkanovski's a beast, and I thought he could get it done for Aldo, and I was right. I bet money on this and put my money where my mouth is, and won. Now I'm wishing I bet more, but that's always the case. I had Volkanovski winning all 3 rounds. All 3 judges had winning all 3 rounds, and you're crazy to think Aldo was even close to winning any of those rounds. Because he didn't really do anything. He was just way too patient. It seemed like he was always waiting for the one heavy strike to knock him out. But Volkanovski kept coming, kept pressuring. And what I was really impressed by Volkanovski was his footwork and his movement. His head movement was it was a lot better than I expected. And, had really good feints, and it just seemed like Aldo didn't know what was coming. He couldn't predict what was coming. It seemed like the first round he was trying to gauge what Volkanovski was doing. He's just being patient, letting the young guy get, some confidence under himself, make him think that he's winning this fight. And then, the second or third rounds, he'd come out firing and just blast him away. But that just wasn't the case. Volkanovski just kept up the pressure. He was busier, more landed, and I think what actually might have played a huge role in this was the leg kicks. Volkanovski started off right away with leg kicks. Aldo likes those leg kicks, and, if you've followed the sport at all, Aldo's leg kicks are some of the most damaging in the world. And I think the fact that Volkanovski fired off first with the leg kicks, it kind of disrupted Aldo's movement and what he wanted to do, and kind of just made him it was almost like he's staring in the mirror at himself while he did nothing. And Volkanovski just kept pressuring, just kept throwing. He did really good in having some cage pressure against Aldo. Aldo is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, I believe. And Aldo's super strong. He's some of the best takedown defense in the game, especially in the division. Maybe has the best. So Volkanovski never really went for the takedown. He just pushed Aldo against the cage, held him there for a while, and just leaned on him and weighed on him. And fans were booing because it was in Brazil, it was in Rio, because their star, Jose, was doing nothing and just getting outclassed and pretty much shut down by the great Alexander the Great Volkanovski. And while he had him in the cage pressure, he kept kneeing the fuck out of that leg, both legs actually. And I guess that just compromised Aldo. Third round was just more of the same, and he definitely won. He won all 3 rounds in my eyes and all the rounds of the judges, and basically just made the entire arena silent. Not many Brazilians won tonight, if any. There's a couple Brazilian versus Brazilian fights. Obviously, Brazilian won there. Vivian won, Barcelos, Carolina, so we had 3 straight Brazilian wins, but 2 of those were Brazilian versus Brazilian fights. Orlando Alves won versus Sergio Moraes, that was Brazilian versus Brazilian. Thiago Moises beat Kurt Holloway, that was Brazilian. Lil Nog lost, Betch Correa lost, Thiago Alves lost, then Jose Aldo lost. And then that leads us right into our co-main event where Anderson Silva versus Jared Cannonier. And obviously this didn't go how it was expected, but the result was what I expected of Cannonier winning and possibly by finish as well. But it kind of sucks how it actually ended. And I would have gave the first round to Cannonier anyways. He landed more, just outpointed Silva. And Silva looked good and he's fast. He looked like he was all there. His knee just gave out on one of the leg kicks. It was like the 10th leg kick or something like that. And his knee just gave out, and you saw him instantly wince in pain. And Cannonier kind of knew it too, and he stopped him. I'm glad Herb Dean stopped it right there, because he didn't need to take further damage, and Silva could barely walk. Once he actually got up and got himself together. I don't know. It just sucked. It was a shitty thing to watch. But Cannonier got the win. I bet money on Cannonier. I had him in parlay as well. That I ended up winning a decent amount of money off of, so it worked out. It sucks that it came with Silva getting hurt, but it is what it is. He says he's not retiring. He says he still wants to come back and fight again, so we'll see. He is 44, so who knows how long this will take him out. Will he be 45, 46 by the time he steps in the cage next? That's crazy. I know they announced before the fights, like literally the day of, Silva was working with the UFC to renew his contract, so who knows where that stands now after, him suffering a knee injury. That being said, that leads us to the main event and final night of the fight. It was a good fight. It had me shocked and, kind of speechless afterwards. But as far as the first round went, man, Rose Namajunas, she looked fucking good. She looked better than she did against the fights versus Joanna, which I guess we should expected. She was allowed, 11 to 13 months. I can't remember which one. I know it was around a year, but it wasn't 12 months. So it was either 11 or 13. I know it was an odd number. But, she looked really good, just outpointed Andrade, kept the leg kicks, kept her distance. Andrade tried to slam her one time. She went for the Kimura, so Andrade, set her down because she was scared of getting trapped in that. She tried to scoop her again and slam her. She did, but it wasn't that hard, and Rose showed some really slick jiu-jitsu, submission attempts off her back, and that kind of looked like it scared Andrade. So she kind of bailed on that. So I definitely gave the first round to Rose, and I thought everyone did. She looked phenomenal. But then come the second round, Andrade went for another slam, basically the same exact two she went for in the beginning, and Rose did the same thing, defended by going for submission attempts, which I've seen a lot of. It seems like it's happening more and more in the UFC, but Andrade is so fucking strong, man. She was strong at 135, so she's even stronger at 115 with these smaller girls, especially with Rose being lighter and skinny. She just picked Rose up and slammed her around her fucking head. Pile driver, which was Jessica Andrade's nickname. What is it? I have it written down here. Bete Estaca, something like that. It's Portuguese for pile driver. That is her nickname. Slam Rose on her head, and she was out as soon as she slammed. She did hit her like once or twice. You got to keep going until the ref stops the fight. And he did eventually. Andrade got the win. They got Fight of the Night bonus and Performance of the Night bonus. So she not only got the belt, but extra $100K in her pocket. So congrats to her. Rose looked good. She just got fucking out-muscled and just slammed on her head, which I definitely wasn't predicting. If anything, I thought Andrade would, connect with a powerful hook or something like that and knock her out, or an overhand. And eventually her strength would get her, which I guess it did. But I don't know. In hindsight's 2020, and I think it was Dominic Cruz that said, as normally if a guy or a girl tries to scoop you and try to take you down, you defend, you kind of turn toward your back so you land on your back. But because Rose was going for the Kimura, she wasn't really concerned about that, and she was just attacking the arm. And so instead of moving her body in defensive position to where she'd be in a better spot for when she did get to the ground and, be able to get full guard or half guard, maybe attack submission from there. She's already attacking submission in midair. And instead of wisely defending to her back or transitioning to where she gets slammed on her back, she got slammed on her head because she wasn't, not to say she wasn't defending it properly, but she wasn't doing what you normally do. Instinctually when someone takes you down. If somebody without training, someone, it was pretty clear that when she was going for a takedown, she was attacking this arm. And I'm assuming Andrade's corner probably saw that and were like, hey, fuck it, she can go for that arm, just slam her on her fucking head. You're the pile driver, just do it. And that's what she did, and she won. Congrats to her. I love Rose Namajunas. I love her mentality, her calmness in there. her mindset, her positive attitude. You know, she doesn't talk shit. She's super nice. Even in defeat, she thanked Brazil for all the love that they showed her. But I was a little concerned with what she said, and that a huge pressure had been lifted off her shoulders now that she lost, and she smiled, and like it seemed like she was really happy she lost. Which, I mean, you don't want to see a fighter like completely butthurt and like, you know, not even accept the decision or whatever happened to them. But I don't know, as a competitor, it's kind of weird to see somebody happy that they lost. But I mean, she's young, she's like 25, 26, so I mean, and I don't know if she's a fighter either. I've seen on this, there's a quote now on the ESPN website on the MMA section that literally says, Namajunas in quotes, "This might be the last time I ever do this." So if it is, that'd explain a lot. I know she doesn't really seem to be a fighter. From what I've heard, you know, listening to podcasts and interviews, she likes, she's always wanted to grow a farm and just live in peace with nature. And, you know, I kind of want to do that too. I don't want to get hit in the head for a living. But, you know, if you're doing it at the highest level, and you don't really want to do it, sooner or later you're going to get clipped. Sooner or later you're going to get dropped. Or sooner or later you're going to get slammed on her head like she did. You know, now I'm not going to say I want to see her back in there. If she doesn't want to compete again, fine. That's her life. She can do what she does. She's probably made enough money to where she doesn't need to anymore, hopefully. But who knows? And it's hard to evaluate the psyche of somebody you don't know, and especially through third-hand interviews and things like that. But all in all, it was a really good night of fights. Glad I watched it. Now, as far as the Bellator 221 events, so this is going on kind of simultaneously as UFC card, but the finishes on the UFC main event and co-main event kind of lined up with the events that were going on in Bellator. I did watch the Jack Hager fight. Jack Swagger, former WWE superstar, you know, WWE heel or whatever. He went in there and fought some guy that just came off the couch, it looks like, last week. Beat him up, got him had an arm choke, choked him out. He held on to the choke too long. The referee had to push him off, and it seemed like he held on way, way, way too long. Now, he said he wasn't sure what was going on there, happening too fast, things like that. You know, I kind of believe him just because it's only his second mixed martial arts event or fight period. He does have a college wrestling background, I believe, but he hasn't been actually competing, you know, at all. You know, he just started, so, you know, I kind of believe in that. Maybe I'm naive, but I didn't think he was purposely trying to do it on purpose. I don't know. We'll see what it is. I wish Bellator would actually give him somebody that could fight. Stop giving him cans and guys that don't even look athletic. You know, the guy's jacked. Hager's jacked. He's a big dude, and he has a college wrestling background. And he looks like a physical specimen. So, I mean, put him in there with somebody that can actually fight Bellator and stop fucking... This isn't fucking professional boxing. You just feed a guy 15 straight cans so he's 15-0 by the time, you know, you put him on a main event, so now people know who he is. I mean, he already has a WWE following. Everyone knows who this guy is. Just put him against a real guy, and it'll be a real fight. Guy can clearly fight, but I don't know. Put him versus someone that, you know, I want to see a defensive competition. I want to see him tested. I want to see him get punched in the face and then see what he does. You know, the first time he's like, oh, fuck, that guy hits hard. But I get it. You're just trying to make money. You're trying to survive. And the co-main event was between Douglas Lima and MVP, Michael Venom Page, for the 170 welterweight Grand Prix semi-final. I was mainly watching this just because MVP is fucking style. I watched him fight Paul Daly, and it was kind of a boring fight, but still got the win. I knew Lima's fucking legit. He's been in there with fucking contenders, UFC contenders, so he can definitely hold his own. If I was a betting man, I would have bet on Lima before because I think he was probably the underdog. I'm not sure, though. As far as the fight itself, First round was kind of a feel him out round. Michael Venom Page with this unorthodox striking stance and fighting style. Hands down, just being really athletic. While Lima was just very composed and traditional, just trying to get that timing of MVP. And it was clear he was trying to get the timing of that leg kick because MVP has some really, really skinny legs. So that looked like that looked like a focal point of his strategy to get this win. His first round I gave to Lima. Come the second round, Michael Venom Page actually stunned Lima with pretty good. I think it was like a 1-2. I think, he stunned Lima with a 1-2. But then as he was coming in, Lima dropped MVP with a nasty leg kick, just perfect timing. As MVP was charging in with his not reckless but unorthodox style. He just got caught off balance. Perfect leg kick to knock him down. And as MVP was getting up, didn't protect his face at all. It didn't even seem like an issue or a thought in his head to protect himself. And Lehman just clipped him with a perfect hook/uppercut as he was getting up and just knocked him unconscious immediately. He might have hit him with one or two more ground strikes after that, and then it was over. First time MVP's lost, at least in his professional career. I don't know if he lost in amateur wings or whatever. But damn, it was stunning. Twitter blew up. I tweeted, Douglas Lima broke the Matrix, which he did. Congrats to him. Now Lima will fight the winner between Neiman Gracie and Rory McDonald is the current champion. So we'll see how that plays out. I think Bellator was hoping it'd be MVP versus Rory McDonald, as they put them on opposite sides of the bracket, but ended up not happening. That's a fight game though, and I wonder if MVP will change his style going forward. Will he actually ever protect his head? Because even though he's very fast and fluid, and unorthodox and hard to predict, that entire time in that fight, I'm like, he's not. I was just very concerned with how little he was protecting his head. His hands are fully extended by his knees, fully straight down. I don't fight, but when I hit the bag, I'm just fucking around punching the bag, I have my hands down a little bit just because it feels good. You're fluid in the moment. You feel like a karate fighter in a movie or a video game or something like that. But this is an actual fight versus top legit talent, and the guy in Douglas Lima, his guard's always up. He's already cocked, ready to go, and all he needs is that one strike, and that's all he needed. And if you're not protecting your head for that one split second, it's over. And it was. And it, just the way MVP got up after getting knocked down from the leg kick, it's clear that he doesn't have. I'm not saying he doesn't have a defensive style, but he doesn't have a defensive style to where he's protecting his head at all costs, because that's the most important thing. You get clipped once, you're out, which is what happened. It sucks, but it is what it is. Come the main event, I didn't even see how it happened, but Patricio Pitbull knocked out Michael Chandler, dropped him, some ground and pound, and looked like an early stoppage. But I don't know. I think kind of just a shitty way for Bellator card to end all around. Yes, we got the awesome highlight knockout of Lima, but I think they were really hyping MVP. They wanted his fight cred, his street cred to go up, his star credibility, blah, blah, blah. And he lost in a devastating fashion. People are saying now he's going to be a meme now forever. I don't know about that. I think he'll be back in there and probably fight again. And hopefully he changes up his defense a little bit. Because, it was just, I'm like, he needs to put his hands up. I know that's how he fights. I know that's his style. I know it's worked. He was 14-0 undefeated before that, but it just takes one shot, especially versus a guy that's seen everything, man. It is what it is. As far as the other announcements, the future fight announcements that I'm excited about, first off, They announced Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis will be at UFC 241 August 8th, I believe, in Anaheim, California. It'll be on the same card as DC versus Stipe 2. For Stipe 2. Stipe Miocic. So that should be a good card come August. I haven't seen Nate Diaz since he fought McGregor the second time. I think it'll be about a 3-year layoff by the time he gets in there, if it's not already 3 years. I need to stop reading social media comments and things like that, but people are like, oh, I don't care about Diaz anymore. Why are they even announcing this fight? Shut up. You care about it because you're talking about it, you fucking cunt. And you'll be the first one to fucking watch it, you motherfucker. But yeah, that'll be an exciting fight. I don't know if Pettis really has anything to gain from fighting Diaz or beating him, except for, I guess, money and credibility. And it's a big-name fight. So, I guess he can gain that. But as far as rankings and title contention goes, I don't think it really matters. Because Diaz has been out for so long. What weight classes is it at? 155, 170? I don't know. I'm sure they announced it, but I didn't look. So, I don't know. I look forward to that one. And then the next one that I really, really, really look forward to, they announced, and I think it's official now. They were saying it was a verbal agreement during the fights this weekend, and I think it's official. Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy Donald Cerrone. Donald Cowboy Cerrone at UFC 238 in Chicago, June 8th. And guess who's going to be there? Me. I'll be there fucking live. And I can't fucking wait because that shit's going to be live. I was already excited for this event anyway because I'm going to be there live. I'm going to see Joe Rogan do stand-up the night before. I got really good seats this time. This is the second time I'll be in this arena. The first time I was in the nosebleed, almost stuck behind the screen, projector screens that they put up. So I couldn't even see anything. I had to watch it on the projector screens backwards or at the fucking... or the basketball scoreboard. So it was still fun. I got drunk and it was fun seeing the fights. Got to see Romero and Whitaker too. Got to see CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. Was probably a terrible fight, but people chanting Punk, and then by the time it was over, they're like, fuck CM Punk. Got to see Anthony Smith fuck up Rashad Evans, I think, that night as well. Got to see Megan Anderson versus Holly Holm. So yeah, I got really good seats this time. I bought, as soon as tickets opened, I bought decent seats. So I'm really, really excited for this card. The card is me is sick. Can't wait to do a preview episode for it. I guess just real quick, just to state a few of the fights or a few of the people on the card. Early prelims, we got Eddie Wineland in there, JoJo Yoann Calderwood versus Caitlin Kukoc. So second fight of the night, Angela Hill versus Yan Xianan, who's a young Chinese up-and-coming female fighter who's really good, versus Angela Hill. That's a crazy fight. Ricardo Lamas versus Calvin Kattar in the early prelims. That's insane. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Alexa Grasso in the prelim opener. What? Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munoz. That's like a 4 versus 5, probably a next... Shut up, Gracie. I'm trying to do some stuff. You've been outside for a couple hours already. Okay? You spoiled little cat. Aljamain Sterling, Pedro Munoz. I think that's 4v5. Possibly, the main event, at least now, is Cejudo versus Moraes. So I think the winner between these two will probably have next shot at the title. After that, Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansarov. I believe that's actually 4v5. Is that 135 division, I think? Either that or 120. I think 125. Bevon Lewis and Darren Stewart. God damn, that's a fucking fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Blagniavanov. Jimmy Rivera, Peter Yan. Then we got Tony Ferguson, Cowboy. Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Ai. Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. Oh my god. That card is stacked. I can't wait. Come Chicago. It'll be a fun-ass weekend. But before then, we have more fights. We have UFC Fight Night, Dos Anjos versus Lee coming up next week We'll do a preview, or not next week, come out this week. I'll do a preview episode for that. Let's see a couple of names: Julio Arias, Julian Rosa, Zach Cummings, Patrick Cummins, Ed Herman, Desmond Green's fighting, Espen Ladd, Sijara Eubanks, Carlos Oliveira, Nick Lentz, Megan Anderson's fighting this fight, Antonio Carlos Jr., Neil Magny, and of course Artie Abers, Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee moving up to 170 after his loss to Alec Quinta. And I'll be in Rochester, New York. I'll be on ESPN Plus, and I'll have that preview episode later in the week. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Peace.